Hello there, my name is Ronald DuPont Jr., and I am the digital editor for Sun Newspapers. And in this session, we are going to learn how to use our online calendar. Now, for those of you watching this video on YouTube, you might want to go ahead now and choose the View Full Screen option, because you will need to be able to see some of the details in a full screen format so that it imitates what I'm doing on my computer. Alright, to begin, it's really quite simple, and this will seem overwhelming at first, but as we go through it, you'll just realize there's just some fields that have to be filled in. The address is pretty simple. It's yoursun.com/calendar. So we type that in. Up pops our calendar. And here are the events, and these are all online or virtual events. We're not showing physical events right now because there aren't any. They're all online. So I'm going to go to full screen here for you so that you can see a little bit more. Now, if you want to add your event, the very first thing you need to do is look for this black button on the right hand side that says Add Event. Click on that. Up will come this pop-up window. Now mine went right away to the area where I start entering my event information. If you are brand new to this calendar, it's going to ask you to register with a company called CitySpark. CitySpark is the company that handles our calendar. You do need to register with CitySpark. Don't worry, they don't spam you. You do need to register, and please remember your name and password, because this will be important down the road when you want to add events, or more importantly, edit an existing event. Now, I've already registered with CitySpark, so it skipped that step, and here we are. So we're going to enter the primary event information. This line right here is perhaps the most important line. In fact, it is the most important line. This says what your event is. Now, I'd be really careful. Let's say you're teaching yoga classes. I wouldn't say yoga classes like that, because that doesn't tell anybody that it's online or virtual. My rule of thumb is you should begin everything with online or virtual. So online yoga classes, or how about an online Baptist church service. So we'll leave it like that. Online Baptist church service, Port Charlotte, Florida. The location name, we'll say A Baptist Church. Leave it just like that. Now, right beneath this, it's going to pop up similar events, and it's going to ask you, do any of these look familiar? And you might laugh a little bit and say, why would the same event be online? Well, at some of the bigger clubs and organizations and the bigger venues, they have multiple volunteers who enter information, and a lot of times it gets entered more than once. So that's why this is here. But in our case, we're making this up, so we're going to skip this and we're going to say not found. My event has not been found because it's brand new. Create new event. So I'm going to click on that. Up pops a new window. Alright, remember I said event title is the most important? The second most important is the address. So I'm just going to put in our newspaper's address right here, yoursun.com. Okay, the location name is a Baptist church. I'm going to make up the street address here. I know it seems funny putting in a street address for an online event, but it does send reassurance to the reader that it's from a real place. Let's make up the zip here, and I'm not going to put a phone number in. You don't have to, but it's there. Alright, so let's make up the date. Let's set this in the future. So let's see here. Let's set the date for July 1st. And let's say it's going to start at 11:30 a.m. and end at 12 p.m. So it would be the world's shortest church service. Alright, that was a bad joke. Alright, moving on. Categories. So you would go through here and search these categories to see what best meets it. So I'm going to type in the word church. service. Nothing's showing up there, so let's try religion. Aha! And you do have to play with this a little bit. So there's a category, religion and spirituality. When you pick a category, it's going to give you a choice of thumbnails from which to choose. You need to choose one. So in this case, I don't want to pick one that actually looks like a church because people may think that is my church. So I'm going to pick something awe-inspiring, something nice. I'm going to go with that image. So now we have our category. Now we have the image. All right, the description field. There is no limit in this description field. This is what appears online. So I'm going to type that in. This is what appears online. And then I'm going to type in here, you can also repeat the event address online. So in our case, the event address online would be yourson.com. There is no limit again on how much you can type here, but obviously you don't want to go on forever. Shorter is better. So quickly describe what your event is, repeat the address. Even though we already have it at the top of the screen, there's no harm in repeating it. All right, this is important. See where it says virtual event here? You need to check that box. It puts a little marker right here. This tells us that you have an online or virtual event, and that's all we are showing in our calendar right now online. So if you don't check this, it will not go in our online calendar. So please make sure to have that checked. All right, this one is also important. This is the print description. We try to get as much of the calendar in the print newspaper every day. Now, space is limited, obviously, in the newspaper. You only have up to 400 characters, so I would keep it short. So I'm going to make this up. We are having a sermon Sunday at 11:30 a.m. at New Baptist Church. The URL is, and I'll put our newspaper address in again, yourson.com. Now what we just typed here, it's kind of short, but this is what will appear in the newspaper. So it is really important that you have your event's URL or address in this description. It's not so much important up here because this one is the online description and people will already see the link. But this one is important. You really do need to repeat your URL so people reading it in the newspaper know where to go. All right, embedded video, you don't need to fill this in. Normally if somebody has an event, this is before coronavirus, let's say they're having a fair or whatever, any sort of event, sometimes they'll have videos from past years, and that's where you would put this in so people would get an idea of what it has been like in the past. All right, admissions and ticketing. Of course, on this, admission is not ticketed for this event. If you're charging for your online or virtual event, then the calendar wouldn't be for you. This is for events that are free and open to the public. So admission is not ticketed for this event. All right, we go down here to the contact info. You can guess what this is. Baptist Church, contact name. I'll type in fake name, the email address. I'll use my work address. And then a phone number. You do need to have a phone number, so I'll put in my work phone number. All right, so we filled all this in. We're almost done. We click next. What pops up here is what the little pop-up window will look like when people click on your event. Now, this is a little bit different than what they will see. For example, the link isn't live. Some of the things aren't as big as they would be in a online live view on your screen. But nevertheless, it gives you an idea. You just kind of look through here and say, all right, online Baptist church service, the address is correct. The URL or the internet address is correct. You look at your print description, you look at your online description. If you like everything, if you don't want to do anything else, if you're done, you click submit, and finish. And you're done. Your event will be in our calendar. But as word gets out, there's going to be a ton of events in our calendar. Keep in mind, before coronavirus, we were seeing anywhere from 30 to 200 events added every day. So I suspect as people get more comfortable and more familiar with online or virtual events, you are going to see a lot more people adding stuff. So if you have something that you want to stand out, there's two ways you can do it. One, we do have a box that stands out in our newspaper. It runs on the calendar page. It says featured events. If you want to be in that box in the printed newspaper, you will need to call, and the area code is the same, 941-206-1212. Again, that's 941-206-1212. The cost is just $10 a day, and you pick the days to have your event in the featured events box on the calendar page. Remember, we can't always get all of the calendar into the newspaper. Picking your days and paying the $10 for each day that you pick ensures that your event not only gets in the newspaper, but that it stands out. Now, if you want your event to stand out online, keep in mind that we are the local source. Last month, our website's got roughly 1.7 million page views. That's a whole lot of audience. So if you want your event to stand out online, again, it's just $10 a day. You would click on Share, Promote, and you're going to say, I want this in all the calendars. You don't pick private, you just leave it public. You click on Submit and Promote, and it's going to give you choices, and it defaults to the center choice. This is the one you want. I got to tell you, if I owned a business, this is the one I would choose. Not this one, not this one. In fact, these two are the same price, so pick the one that's the same price but gives you more. What this will do is your event shows up at the top of the calendar on the days that you choose, and it also shows up in what I call the swisher. It's actually a rotating event feature at the top of our calendar, and there can only go 4 or 5 in that featured area at the top, so people actually set their events up way ahead of time and pay way ahead of time to make sure their event is featured. So you would pick featured, you would scroll down, you can click guaranteed print listing as well. I would urge you just to call that number. It's a whole lot easier. Again, the number is 206-1212. So instead of clicking that, just call the phone number. Now, if you get through all this and you go, I really don't want to pay anything, you can click no thanks, I want a free basic listing. But if you still want to go through with picking out the days, you click on the next button, and you would add your date range of when you want your event to appear. So you would come in and let's see, we're in April now, and you just would pick the days that you want your event to appear. And then when you're done, you click on Submit. Up comes the event, and away you go. Now you might say, how does it know what to charge me? Well, if this was a real case, because I made it so that it was in the past tense, if this was real, it would have asked you for credit card information so that the event could be charged. So there you go. This is how you use the online calendar. Pretty simple. Yes, there's a lot of little fields. Remember, three of the most important ones are the name of your event, the internet address or URL for it, and then finally make sure that you repeat your internet address or your URL in the print description field. Again, if you want to pay to have your event featured online, you saw how to do that. If you want to have your event featured in the print newspaper in that box we were talking about, the number to call is 206-1212. Alrighty, once again, this is Ronald DuPont, the digital editor for Sun Newspapers. Thank you for being with me, and I look forward to seeing you online.